Good morning and welcome to another Wine Steward video. Buenos dias. Yes, last night we were doing a lot of Spain with 40 of you. Thank you so much for coming. Lo siento mucho to all the people who were hanging on that waiting list, hanging with bated breath and unable to attend. I'm sorry that we missed you, but why don't we at least tell those of you who couldn't come that one of the hits of last night, we showed 15 wines along with Eric's marvelous paella, some tortilla española, some fresh baked bread, and so on. Those who were able to come last night really enjoyed this one in particular. This is something worth telling everybody about. Why? Because A, it's rare, B, it's delicious. Rare without being delicious, I don't give a damn. It's gotta be good. I'm not into novelty alone, so if it's interesting and delicious, then I'm in. It fulfills that, and what it also does is, what it will do in about 3 weeks on November 27th. That's Kathy's birthday, by the way. Make sure you tell her happy Thanksgiving and happy birthday. We highly urge you all to consider including this on your Thanksgiving table. This, along with several of the white wines we had last night, would be beautiful with Thanksgiving dinner. Why? What qualifies a wine as a Thanksgiving wine? Well, pretty much. You're allowed to drink anything you damn well please, but we hope you'll think about the fact that oaky wines they don't really have a place with that meal. What we want you to emphasize is beautiful fruit, and that happens here in this rare and delicious wine from where? Can we finally get to the point? Where are we, Jim? We are here. Look at this. We are here. Let's stick that there. That is a piece of Licorea. Licorea is the black or blue-gray, I should say, slate that Priorat is made up of. There's far less dirt there than there is this rock from which Grenache and Carignan vines struggle to grow. Priorat is about an hour and a half's drive southwest of Barcelona. You leave that balmy Mediterranean city, and after a while, you're in the boonies and the dramatically topographical. What I'm trying to get at is this place is really hilly, and there's hardly any flat land at all. And the main wine here in this hot place, we're no longer like in balmy Barcelona. We are now in a place that gets blasted by heat and colder temperatures, so more diurnal shift, they would call it. You're in a place where the red wines are prevalent. And those red wines are made of aforementioned Grenache and Carignan. Sometimes there's a couple of invaders like Cabernet and Syrah in those blends, but they're predominantly blends of Carignan and Grenache. What is much rarer, but what's popping up nowadays, is white wine from here. What is the white wine grape of Priorat? There's a few of them, but most of the white Priorats, or Priorato Blanco, are based on one grape in particular, Garnacha Blanca, otherwise known as Grenache Blanc. I love Grenache Blanc because it doesn't put on airs. It doesn't try to be anything other than itself. This 100% Garnacha Blanca from Priorat, very, very rare. This winery, Yak, I think don't say yuck. This is yet another winery in Priorat that emphasizes red wine. They only make a little of this, probably make less than 1,000 cases of this 100% Garnacha Blanca. I don't think you can quite understand the color as the video may be showing it, but this is darker in color for a white wine, and it's a fresh white wine. This is a 2024, so it's not old, but it has the color of a, let's say, older Chardonnay. I believe the pre-fermented juice stuck around with the skins for maybe a day, achieving a little color from those Grenache Blanc skins before pressing and fermenting. That's my guess. The cool thing about Garnacha Blanca is how humble it is, and I might have already said that, but I love the way it doesn't like to be embellished. It doesn't like to be dressed up with a lot of new wood or processing. the best thing you should do or could do to Grenache Blanc, just to enhance its inherent kind of quiet and humble qualities, is leave it on the lees. Well, they already left it, I believe, on the skins for just a little while. But for post-fermentation, hanging around in a tank and perhaps a neutral barrel, but that barrel had better be oversized. We don't want to oxidize this wine. Both of those containers should have on the bottom the leftover expired yeast cells called the lees. You might not even stir those lees up into the wine. In fact, I think you shouldn't, but just the contact, just sitting on the lees for a couple of months has made this wine comfy. Comfy, and yet you get fruit. This is, you can see I'm using a Bordeaux glass for it because it deserves this. It's a bigger and yet quiet white wine. It's large in stature. When you put it in your mouth, you're going to say, I want to keep that in my mouth for a minute. I'm going to do that now. Let's see if I take a minute doing it. I can't do that to you, but oh my God. The nose is subtle, but it grows and grows and grows in the mouth. There's a beautiful tang and richness happening at the same time. There are qualities of melon, perhaps even muskmelon or cantaloupe, grilled peach. You just gotta have this wine, not just because it's rare, but because it's freaking delicious, and it will do so nicely on Turkey Day. There, I've spent 6 minutes telling you about one freaking wine. I won't do that with the rest of these, all right? But this is special, rare. It was singing last night, it's singing this morning. The rest of that bottle is going home with me. And let's tell you about just a couple of other things. We're not gonna make this the longest video in the world. It may seem like it at this point. Gosh, I'm gonna put this over here, hide it from myself. Let's remind you that we're in the spirits business, and now that the weather is turning a little chillier, we're supposed to get some rain today, and it's sure howling. Like, what a windy day. They're taking down trees all over downtown Pleasanton just in case the crews are out there. Let's remind you that we're in the spirits business, and that's something you might not have been thinking of enjoying until now are the brown spirits, because of course with warm weather people get into lighter and leaner and more vibrant things. So I am a gin guy. I love a gin martini, a gin and tonic, and that's my summertime drink. What I start to convert to on a colder fall and winter night is a Manhattan. And I love those Manhattans with a bit of whiskey and a little bit of sweet vermouth, the red stuff, and just a dash or splash of bitters, and a really, really good cherry. And by the way, we have the good ones downstairs too. We don't just sell the spirits, we have all of the accompaniments. So the big decision is, what kind of whiskey should you use for a Manhattan? So many people default to bourbon because it's got a nice, yummy sweetness. That's a great thing to drink on its own, but for a Manhattan, which already has sweetness because of that cherry, that really beautiful saucy cherry, and the vermouth, I think you should dry things up and spice things up as well a little bit with a rye whiskey rather than a bourbon. Here is Amador Rye. It's made down the street at Amador High School by the, I'm kidding, but it's kind of fun that it is named that, right? But this is Amador, made here. Well, it starts in, I think, Kentucky, and then it's finished out here in a Napa Valley wine barrel. So that's kind of cool, is that it makes its way out here, takes a stop at a winery, gets into a barrel out here, a wine barrel, and then finally heads to the wine steward right down the street from the high school by the same name, but unrelated, I promise. This is Amador Rye. We also have their bourbon downstairs, but this is what I'd recommend. This rye or any other rye that we have downstairs with a Manhattan, because it keeps the Manhattan from being too decadently sweet and adds beautiful intrigue. That's the cool thing about rye. Not everybody's as into rye as I am, but I think you gotta try it on your Manhattan, all right? Boom. I'm still digressing too much. I must be more efficient. Let's tell you about a wine we just got in that will almost certainly be a star at our upcoming sparkling wine event, where we will pour 6 champagnes and 6 sparkling wines from elsewhere to show you that elsewhere can also make very nice bubbles. Who's nailing it nowadays? Maybe because the weather's a little warmer, maybe because they've just figured it out. England, southern England, the area of Kent, south of London, and this is one of the best ones we've carried so far. We made a splash with this last year when we first carried Whiston, and Whiston is back. A redesigned label, but a beautiful Blanc de Blanc that will be shown at that event unless we sell this out in the meantime, because we only had one crack at this particular bubbles. We brought in, I think, 7 or 8 6-packs of it. They're downstairs. You can have at them right now if you're intrigued, or you can wait and cross your fingers until the sparkling wine event and hope that it will be featured there. We will have, I promise, good sparkling wine from England at that event, but this one may be gone by then. A Blanc de Blanc, meaning it's made of 100% Chardonnay, dry, rich. It's a really nice champagne alternative, and champagne has nothing on this wine. It's easily the equal of champagnes at the same price, I promise. Check it out. Whiston is back. For those who got to know it last year, it's back. Now, let's tell you very quickly, let's do something quickly in this video, that the wine bar menu is replete with what we would call really good Turkey Day or Thanksgiving wines. That's what we're going to do for the 3 weekends preceding Thanksgiving in November, where we are now. So here we are doing a white flight and a red flight that are full of wines that we think are great for Turkey Day. And once again, wines that emphasize fruit. I'm not talking about sweet, but I'm talking about fruity rather than ponderously oaky. We could do that for Christmas with the rib roast, but with that turkey and all the trimmings, think about fruit-forward reds, things like Pinot Noir and such. So, in the red flight is a wine that we in fact enjoyed last night. I hope you enjoyed it, those who came. This is called Costumbres, and it is from Rioja Oriental. What? Rioja Oriental? What? Is that in China or something? No. The region of Rioja in Spain is so large that they break it up 3 ways. I think Rioja is about 4 times the size of the Napa Valley in vine acreage. And so you've got Rioja Alavesa and Rioja Alta toward the north and toward the south, an area formerly known as Rioja Baja. But the people there, the producers, thought that that was kind of a demeaning term, that, well, we're not lower, we're just geographically lower, a lower latitude perhaps. So marketing people, the geniuses that they are, trying to remain employed, renamed it Rioja Oriental. This label actually proudly says Rioja Oriental on it. The producer named Costumbres, and the cool thing about Rioja Oriental, formerly known as Baja, is that that is where most of Rioja's garnacha grows. Yes, this is the land of Tempranillo, but that happens more in the north, and the garnacha or grenache happens in the south. This is 95% garnacha, foot trodden, by the way. Never saw a barrel, doesn't need to. Grenache doesn't like barrels very much. And then just a little bit of a indigenous red grape, the name of which I can't remember, and there might be a little drop of Tempranillo in here too. But this is really all about garnacha, no wood, small production, well under 1,000 cases made, and really brilliant wine. It wants food, but when it has food, the fruit, the charming fruit of garnacha emerges from your glass. Really nice Thanksgiving wine. Let's tell you about 2 wines that are in the white wine flight, also geared toward Thanksgiving. Here's one made by our friend Adam Webb. It's whimsically named Pop Rocks. You can see how pop is spelled on there, P-A-P-E, a la Chateauneuf de Pop, if you can read that from here. This is a wine from Sonoma County. Nearly all of Adam's wines nowadays are sourced from Sonoma County vineyards because his tasting room is in fact just off the square in Sonoma. And he wants to respect the fact that he resides there as a tasting room and uses the local fruit. This is 75% Viognier and 25% Roussanne, so it's a white Rhone blend. Well, it's inspired by the Rhone Valley of France because those grapes grow there as well, but this is a white Rhone blend, we could call it, from Sonoma County. Viognier and Roussanne make nice here. The Roussanne turns down the craziness of Viognier a little bit. The Viognier enhances, it just adds that beautiful floral character. One beautiful Thanksgiving wine, aromatic, but not over the top. Adam makes great wine. We highly recommend you include this Pop Rocks on your Thanksgiving table. You White Wine Club members, you will be getting this wine in your club in just a week from now. Wow, wine club time already. And I just finally finished the October notes. I'm sorry for being so late with those. Let's tell you about one more wine that's in that white wine flight. This This is in the October Wine Club, and it's a delicious rarity. You know, I said before that I don't care if a piece of food or if a wine is rare, and that's about it. Novelty is not enough. It has to be delicious. But let's just say that this may be one of the only Grenache Blancs made in the Napa Valley. This is from Priorat, which is in fact well above the valley floor on the east side in the Vaca Mountains. And Grenache Blanc, they planted this where they thought the Cabernet wouldn't cooperate. And they have nailed a beautiful Grenache Blanc, very delicious, very affordable. Just like the Grenache Blanc that we had from Priorat, it doesn't try too hard to be delicious. It is delicious inherently, but it's not a noisy or noisy wine. You have to go like chase it down, but it's lush. It's got beautiful white fruits, I would say, and it's Priorat Grenache Blanc, great for the Thanksgiving table. That's nearly all I have to say, except have you ever enjoyed coming back to something that you haven't had in a while? Maybe it's a piece of music, maybe it's a restaurant that you just have been neglecting lately, and you go back and you have a great time again. You think, why haven't we been coming here? This is a piece of food that I really enjoyed last night. This is chorizo sarta. We sell this sliced out of our cheese cooler. I prefer it in whole form. Now, I'm not gonna like unwrap this and eat it out of hand, but you would slice this, and I just believe that since it hasn't been sliced and set around in plastic, the whole form of chorizo sarta, the Spanish chorizo, it's cured. This isn't the stuff that you mix up with your eggs, like chorizo and eggs. This is already cured, like salami. It's Spain's answer to salami. How about that? But the big difference is the addition of paprika, or pimentón, as they would call it in Spain. Really good chorizo happening here. And what happened last night is we served it in thicker slices. That was Katiana's decision. She did the food prep. And normally I've tried to slice this as thin as possible, but man, I so enjoyed, first of all, having this for the first time in maybe 2 years. I've kind of left it alone, but coming back to it, realizing how good it is, and then the novelty of having it in thicker chunks. Man, it was just like, the only problem was I really needed dental floss later, but in the meantime, I so enjoyed coming back to an old friend. And of course it's fresh, but the concept of carrying chorizo sarta here at the Wine Steward is a 15-year-old concept, at least, maybe 20. We've been carrying it that long. Check this out. Add it to your cheese board, and think about coming and enjoying some Turkey Day wines with us up at the Wine Steward Wine Bar. And also don't forget this beautiful Priorat that now there's one bottle less. It's going home with me, one of them. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving in advance.